College students all across America are taking classes, studying for countless hours, and after years of hard work, they earn their undergraduate degree. Then what? Graduates today are entering a job market that is far from their parents' generation. With the U.S. economy still in recovery from the recent recession, it's a different world for college students as they prepare for the workforce. With self-discipline and a variety of support options, students can take charge of their education, making sure they'll graduate with more than just a diploma. Over the next half hour, we'll show you where the job market is heading, identify some of the many resources available to students on campus, and introduce you to some recent grads who are out there making their degree work for them. It's your time to find your future. I'm Marie Harden, and with me in the studio is Robin Stevens from Penn State Smeal College of Business, Bob Martin from the Penn State College of Communications, and Dr. Jack Raymond, Director of Career Services at Penn State. Let's start with you, Jack. Given your experience, what's the landscape for college undergraduates as they look at the job market?
Well, I would say that it's probably about the most challenging market that I've seen in my 27 years at Penn State.
Is it all bad news? Are there any bright spots as we look out ahead?
It certainly isn't all bad news. There are a number of areas that are very strong. One of those areas is the area that we call STEM, which is basically science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And also the whole healthcare field is fairly strong.
Okay. Robin, your experience in the Smeal College of Business, can you tell us what are some hot areas as you look at the business market?
Well, the hottest areas right now are finance, accounting, and supply chain.
And Bob, I know that students who are interested in going into journalism might be a little nervous right now. As you look out at the communications career field, what are some areas there?
Sure. Some hot areas that we're seeing are the advertising sector, media buying, planning. Journalism's still a hot major with a lot of our students, and they certainly are finding careers like public relations if they're not finding a job in the print sector. So there's certainly opportunities out there. Excellent.
At what point should students start thinking about their careers, and what should they do to begin?
I think it's important for them to start almost from the day they land on campus. It's not the uppermost thing in most students' minds, but the reality is almost everything they do in their 4 years will have an impact on their job opportunities and their career opportunities after graduation. So we think they should start really in their freshman year. I think the most important thing for most students is to try to begin to do some self-assessment, try to inventory yourself. What's important to you in terms of your values, your interests, your abilities, and so on and so forth. So we like to emphasize in the first year self-understanding.
Academic strength is one of the key factors that employers are looking for. We've got students who have controls on the major, so they've got to have a strong foundation in the beginning, be thinking about studying, keeping their grade point average up just to get into their major.
It's really critical that our students get involved with on-campus experiences immediately. This is your chance to test the waters of a potential career.
Clearly, almost everything you do, every activity you engage in will have career implications over the course of your life. So it's really important to do those kind of intentionally rather than randomly or accidentally.
When I was a freshman, I was just adjusting to Penn State, figuring out if food science really was the degree for me. I struggled through chemistry, and so my objective getting through freshman year was surviving chemistry.
Now, as freshmen are still exploring options for a major, are there other things they need to be thinking about at this point? Career fairs, resumes, that sort of thing, this early?
I think it's important as a freshman to understand what it's going to take. I don't know that a lot of freshmen are really thinking about careers as freshmen. I think they need to think more about their majors and who they are and what they like to do.
It's very valuable for freshmen to go to a career fair.
Absolutely.
They're not really looking for employment at the fair, but it's just starting to understand the culture a little bit of what it takes to become involved, to become actively involved in your career. And there's a lot to be learned there. Even if you just sort of wander around a little bit, you will learn a lot that will be helpful to you career-wise over the course of your lifetime.
Overcoming that fear of the recruiter is a celebrity celebrity. They're just people, but I think if it's overwhelming, and our career fair is so large that if you walk in there as a freshman, you're going to be completely overwhelmed. But it's good to experience it so that you can overcome that fear of going there in the first place.
Understand the basics of the business etiquette, and you'll get that foundation by going and meeting with different employers and recruiters at job fairs.
Yeah.
After my freshman year, I felt like I didn't even have all that many skills yet. I'd taken 2 semesters worth of classes. I knew it was going to be a very interesting endeavor going into an organization for the first time. But thankfully I had the opportunity to work for a smaller company. It was close to home. I still got to live at home, still got to have mom's cooking and have my laundry done for me while I was working. And it kind of helped ease into starting to learn more about what an IT career was like.
Moving on to sophomore year, what things should we be doing at this point?
Well, again, I think understanding what the tools are to get yourself a job, understanding what the job search entails. So you've figured out who you are, maybe what you wanted, what your major is, but now you need to say, what is a resume? What does a good resume look like? How can I get my resume to be better? What is an interview? What all does an interview entail?
It's important to begin to get some real experience of what it's like working. So doing some job shadowing, starting to work on developing an internship, getting experience so you have a real understanding of what's out there. Either you'll find, ooh, I don't want to do that on the one hand, or you might find, wow, that really is an exciting opportunity. I would really like to pursue that field.
While you're doing those on-campus experiences, hopefully you're testing the waters with a variety of different choices, and then from there we can move into hopefully that first internship. I think it's really critical that by your sophomore year, particularly in communications, we want our students getting involved with relevant internships as quickly as possible, and sophomore year is usually that time.
Is sophomore year too early to do serious networking?
Absolutely not.
Right.
In fact, I believe that your internships are probably the most critical area of where you will find your best networks. They're the people that know you best. You probably worked there for 3 or 4 months. It's been like a 3-month interview. So here's an opportunity for you to really create some credibility for yourself and have a long-standing relationship with someone.
So there's a lot that students can and should do during these first 2 years to make sure they graduate ready to launch their career. It's clear that the freshman and sophomore years are critically important. We'll take a look at more career advice for juniors and seniors when we return.
I'm Phil Boyer from the Engineering Entrepreneurship minor, and in just a few minutes I'll give you some specific tips in how you can develop your own personal life plan.
It's your time to find your future.
If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You need to work on a plan, and that's really what personal life planning is all about. We use the concept of personal life planning and try to match it with a business plan. We treat you kind of as a business. How are you going to manage yourself? How are you going to brand yourself? How are you going to budget for yourself? You know, have you thought about the strategic direction that you want to go in life? Where are you headed? If you don't have a plan, you're going to wander aimlessly for quite a while.
The idea of a life plan is a very good one for students to have tackled by the middle of their senior year. Do you agree?
If an individual thinks through their life and what they would like out of life in a kind of a careful way, and they have a vision for where they want to go, the likelihood is much greater that they'll get there.
Students understand that it's not absolutely imperative to have it written in stone. You can diverge off of that specific path and maybe go into a different career that's related to that and tangible to that initial life plan, but it doesn't have to be set in stone.
The facts bear that out. Increasingly, what we find is over the course of a lifetime, people will hold probably as many as 10 different jobs.
Right.
So the era where you get locked into one thing is obviously a bygone era.
Right.
And students also change majors, right? And so that would factor into it.
They change majors as they garner more internships. They develop different skill sets and different areas of interest.
With that said, I would say Plan your work, work your plan, but be prepared to refine it.
There you go.
My junior year, I really started to focus in on what I wanted to do long term, and I really loved working with confections and working with chocolate. So I decided that the Hershey Company was going to be the goal that I pursued. I was an intern again the following summer of 2008 and was fortunate enough to obtain a job here when I graduated in May 2009.
Let's talk about that critical third year, and can you give us some tips for what do students need to be doing?
Well, I think one of the most important things is they really need to begin to get some real work experience. And so a lot of that time should be spent, we think, developing internship opportunities and everything that goes along with that. Attending career fairs so that you have some idea what kind of internship opportunities are out there, and then putting together your resume and your materials, because securing an internship's just like finding a full-time job.
I think that summer after your junior year is the absolute most critical period. Hopefully by this point you have refined your search of where you want to be with your career, and this is the capstone opportunity. I would even include that if you want to be in a specific geographic location like New York City, hopefully you will intern between that junior and senior year in New York City so that you develop contacts within that particular area.
After my junior year, I had the opportunity to intern with Honeywell in Bangalore, India, which was a great experience to learn more about another culture, learn more about working on a lot of different teams. And I think over the course of the 3 internships, all very different types of organizations, all different types of situations, and it helped me to really evaluate what I would want to do after college. And being able to evaluate that in a 3-month stint was pretty nice.
So we've talked about the junior year, and Bob, you mentioned that critical summer between junior and senior year. What I want to do now is move us to the senior year itself and ask you to give me your to-do list for that senior year.
Well, I'll tell you what I tell seniors. Hopefully, as a result of their excellent performance on their internship, they were walked away with a job offer. So they don't really have to worry about the job search. But I say, if you've accepted an offer, you're finished interviewing. But if you have not formally accepted an offer, then you need to see what else is out there.
I think it's really critical that you establish a great reputation for yourself through that 3-prong approach of doing well academically, taking advantage of those on-campus experiences that relate to your career interests, and then intern. By that point, hopefully, you've established a strong level of networks within the industry, and this is the time to really start to enhance those networks.
Jack, senior year.
I think attention to a lot of what I would call professional details would be important. Like a lot of students don't think too much about their dress and the impact that it might have, not just in terms of securing employment, but once you're on the job, what do you do there? Another thing that's really important are what kind of messages you have out there on Facebook or on LinkedIn or any other social media that might be available. Oftentimes people forget they put things out there that were cute, but that were not very professional, that can have a profound impact on you throughout the course of your career.
Anything else in terms of just on-the-ground kinds of nuts and bolts things that students need to remember at this point?
Whatever you put out there, whether it's email, whether it's a thank you letter, how you dress, what your appearance is, really paying attention to detail. And I like to call it just play your A game. Make sure you're always playing your A game, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Other tips for staying on your A game, Bob?
I would say organization is absolutely key. One of the things we preach to our students is, without a doubt, make sure you put together a comprehensive job search strategy that's written out. So what resources are you using? What have been the best? What have been the least effective? As to use Robin's term, play your A game. Okay.
All right. All good advice. Next, we'll meet a number of students who took a lot of what we've covered and put it into action.
I'm going to be an IT consultant at KPMG in New York City.
I'll be working for Westinghouse Electric Company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in their nuclear operations department.
I will be working at JPMorgan Chase in New York City doing a 2-year rotational program in operations and business services.
I'll be working for McBee Associates in Philadelphia as a healthcare consultant.
Stay with us. It's your time to find your future.
My name is Caitlin Zankowski, and I majored in industrial engineering with a minor in engineering leadership development. I'll be working for General Electric Transportation in Erie, Pennsylvania, doing 2 years in their operations management leadership program.
My name is Eric Peltier. I'm a computer engineering major, and I will be working for Booz Allen Hamilton in Washington, D.C.
Hi, I'm Jessica Trail. I am an animal science major, science option, and after graduation I will be going to work for the University of Pittsburgh in the Department of Laboratory Animal Resources as an animal husbandry technician.
Right before I leave here, actually, I'm going to stop by Career Services and see what options they have for me. So hopefully they can help me out, and I'm actually still looking forward to graduating, even though I don't have a job. So we'll see.
Despite a tough economy, many college graduates are finding success as they enter the job market. Alums like Javier in New York City, Chris in Las Vegas, Aaron in Bethesda, Maryland, Dan in Dallas, Texas, Paul in Rembrandt, Iowa, Hillary in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Alan in Los Angeles. And Steve Gargiulo is now working for Johnson & Johnson. He credits his on-campus involvement as a means to prepare him with leadership skills as he entered the workforce.
So the key for me really was having the experience of being involved in a number of leadership roles in student organizations, and then having the experience of having a number of internships in different fields doing different types of work. It's helpful when you're going into an entry-level position and you can say that you already have relevant experience, and that you can say, well, I've already done X, Y, and Z, which prepares me to do A, B, and C in your organization. So for me, it really was having the chance to do a lot of the things that I did at Penn State and being able to show why that's valuable to a company or an institution beyond graduation.
The key for me was working really hard at getting a good base education and being really enthusiastic about learning, as well as never feeling limited, never putting limitations on myself. I applied for an internship as a freshman, figuring the worst thing that could happen would be somebody said no, and I would be right where I was, and the best thing that could happen would be I would end up with a dream job like this. I'm Hillary Peterson, and I make candy for the Hershey Company.
Internships, paid, unpaid, doesn't matter.
My advice is try to get industry experience, whether it's paid or unpaid. Even if you're volunteering, but you can put that on your resume and it's still relevant. When employers are searching for those key words, they're going to find out that you worked at Merrill Lynch. Maybe it was a retail brokerage firm in an unpaid internship, but that Merrill Lynch, that name is going to resonate with other employers.
Leadership, on-campus leadership, how important is that at this point?
I think it's really critical.
Extremely.
Absolutely. And that's the value added we were speaking about earlier, and it's so important that our students start to develop leadership roles so that they can show they didn't just go through the motions with a particular organization, that they actually were passionate about this.
Right.
And I think that's the real unique selling proposition that students can really develop through those leadership positions.
And then selling it and conveying it powerfully in your resume and in your credentials is important. A lot of students engage in a lot of leadership experiences, but they aren't able to convey that effectively.
Right.
And it's a sales situation. You have to sell yourself. No one's going to do it for you.
This brings me to resumes, and I just want to throw this question out. Where can students go to get help on their resumes? Who should they consult?
Well, there are a lot of different opportunities. I think there are opportunities within each individual college. At least that's the case for our university. There's obviously career services, again, resources within the college, but you will find employers are very eager to help students with their resumes. I mean, after all, they're the ones who have to look at them and figure out where the good ones are, and they're more than happy to help. I would say go to alumni, your parents, if they're in whatever field you're in. Seek out people who are maybe leaders in that industry or that field to take a look at your resume, to tell you, look, this is fine, but what we're looking for are accomplishments and achievements, and maybe this is the way you could say that.
For additional content and more tips on how you can achieve career success with your undergraduate degree, visit findyourfuture.psu.edu. We want to leave you now with a review of some of the most important career advice we can give. And we do that in the form of our top 5 lists. We'll start with the Director of Penn State's Career Services, Dr. Jack Raymond.
Raymond's recipe for career success. Number 1, engage in serious introspection. Number 2, actively explore the world of work. Number 3, take responsibility for your career. Number 4, take advantage of your resources. And number 5, build your network.
Robin, can we get your tips?
Absolutely. Robin's top 5 tips for job success. Number 1, know yourself. Number 2, know the company and or the position. Number 3, network. Number 4, be professional in every way. Number 5, take advantages of all of your resources.
And Bob, can you round us out with your tips?
Absolutely. Martin's master plan to ensure marketability. Apply that 3-prong approach during your college career. Take advantage of doing well academically, obviously do well in your relevant on-campus experiences, and intern. Number 2, develop your magic 10. Network with as many people as you can, but at least 10 individuals. Number 3, plan your work. Work your plan. Number 4, approach key networks appropriately. Seek advice. It's a very nice soft sell approach. And number 5, create a branded message about yourself.
Bob, Robin, and Jack, thank you for the job-winning tips. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Remember, it's never too late or too early to take charge of your life. Get help doing that with the many resources available to you at your local college or university or at findyourfuture.psu.edu. It's your time to find your future.
This has been a production of WPSU.